Alright guys, in this video we're going to take a look at CSS variables, also called custom properties. Okay, so in documentation you might see them as custom properties, but most people call them variables because that's what they are. They're just placeholders for values. So let's create a new file called 06_variables.html, and we'll put in our boilerplate. Let's say CSS variables, and let's put our style. I'm going to just close this up, and in the body we're not going to have too much here. We're going to put a header, and the header will have an h1. We'll just say CSS variables, and outside the header let's do a container, and it's going to have two divs. So class of box, let's do a class of box dash and then money sign, and then let's times that by 2 and enter. And each one is going to have, let's do an h3. We'll just say heading, paragraph, we'll do lorem 15. Doesn't really matter what the content is. So I'm going to copy the h3 in the paragraph and put that in this div as well. And let's just move this back and open this with live server. So it should look like this, and we're going to add some base styling here before we get into variables. And I know a lot of this stuff is repetitive, but it's good to keep typing it out because you get more familiar with things. So we're going to add a reset of, so margin 0, padding 0, and the body, just want to make it look somewhat decent, so we're going to do a font family of Arial. I wish Arial was the default font for browsers, not Times New Roman, because it just looks horrible. Or some kind of sans serif font. So let's do a line height of 1.4, and let's do a background of light gray. Alright, so I'm going to save this. Now, before I move on to styling this other stuff, I'm going to show you how to create a variable. Now, you need to define a scope for your variables. You can define them right inside here if we wanted to. Like I could go right above and I could say dash dash. This is how you format the variable. Dash dash, and then name it. So I could say, let's say light dash color, and set it to F4 3 times like that, and then I could use the variable right here by using the var keyword, opening up some parentheses, and then putting in dash dash light color. You'll see in VS Code we'll actually get a drop down with the options, and if I save we get the same result. Okay, so this is how you can define a variable. Now usually you're not going to define it right in the same right where you're using it. That kind of defeats the purpose. I like to use variables so I have a single place in my CSS, in my style sheet, that I can update like primary colors and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is just take this, just cut that out, and then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to define a scope to define my variable in. Now, since I used it in body, I could just do body like that and then put in the variable. But I'm going to put it in the root, what's called the root scope. So we do :root. Okay, so any variable that you create in the root scope, you can use anywhere in the style sheet. So if I save this, you can see that this still works. All right, now what I usually use variables for is primary color, secondary color, and then you usually have some kind of light gray. At least when I build sites, UIs, I have some kind of light gray, sometimes a dark gray, sometimes a really like a black almost. And I put these into variables because I might use them over and over. And then if you ever want to change it, you don't have to go to each instance of that color and change it. So let's create a primary color. And for the primary color, I'm just going to do steel blue. Okay, and then let's do a secondary color, because usually you'll have kind of a color palette to your UI or your website, and I'm going to do sky blue. Okay, so we have a primary color, a secondary color, and a light color. And then we're going to go down here and add some more styling. So let's go header, and for the header I'm going to set a background color, and I'm going to set that to the variable of primary color. Okay, so if I save that, we get the color. I'm also going to change the text color to white. All right, and then let's see, let's text align to the center, and then I'm going to add a bottom border. Actually, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to say border bottom. Let's do 5 pixels, and then I'm going to use the secondary color. So var dash dash secondary color solid, and we'll save. All right, now let's do the contain. The container is actually going to be a flex box. So we'll say display flex. It has 2 items in it, so those are going to be side by side. And then in the container, I'm going to add, let's see, let's do margin auto, and then let's add a max width. And this is something I may put in a variable as well, because if you want to, for some reason, change the width of the interface or the website, you can easily do that up here. So I'm actually going to go right here and say max width, and let's set it to 1100 pixels. And then we can set that right here by saying var dash dash max width. Now if I save it, I shouldn't be able to go past 1100 pixels, and if I wanted to change it, I could just very easily just change it to like 960, and now you can see it gets thinner. Okay, now the boxes, I want to have the primary color as well, so let's go dot box, and let's say background color, and we'll set that to var dash dash primary color. And let's do the same thing with the border bottom. So border bottom, we're going to set to 5 pixels. We're going to use the secondary color and solid. Okay, let's change the color to white. You could even put the text color in a variable if you wanted to. You can put whatever you want into variables, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense. It really makes sense when you're going to be reusing it, or if it's something major like the width of the layout or something like that, at least in my opinion. And then let's just add some padding here. We'll say 1 rem margin, 1 rem, and we'll save that. And now you can see that it has the same colors as the header. All right, so what's great about this is if I want to change, let's pretend that this is a whole website and we're using these variables all over the place. Okay, so we have like 7, 8, 9 instances of the primary, secondary color, light color. We can now easily change this. Okay, so if we wanted to change it to like, I don't know, dark gray, and then maybe like light gray or something like that. That might look a little weird, but we'll save it. And now the whole thing changes. So it's very convenient to use variables for colors. And then things like widths and layout and stuff like that. Okay, so another thing that maybe we can do is the width of the flex boxes. So if we, actually let's go up here and let's set dash dash box 1 width. We'll set that to 1, and then dash dash box 2 width, we'll set that to 2. And then let's add the box 1 class, and we'll say, what are we doing here? We're using flex, so we can say var dash dash box 1 width. Copy that down. We'll change this to 2. Box 2 and save. Whoops, what'd I do? Just delete everything and save, and now you can see that there's a different layout here, and now we can easily change this. If I wanted to do maybe 3 here, save that gets bigger. If I wanted to do maybe 1 and 3 here, now I can easily change the layout with these variables. Now, everything is in, all the variables are defined in the root scope, but again, you can, for instance, the boxes, if we want, we can say dot box, and we can move these into here, since we're not going to be using these variables anywhere else except for the box scope, right? So if I save that, that still works. Now if I move the max width into the box, that's not going to work. So if I stretch this out, you'll see the max width doesn't work anymore because it's in the container. I could put this in the container scope, like I could do dot container and put that in, but that's something I'd keep in the root, okay? Because it's like a main, just a main part of the site. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, like I said, I mostly use it for primary and secondary colors, things like widths. But yeah, we'll be using variables throughout the coming projects, and that's it. I will see you in the next video.